One. Salud, sir.
Salud.
Hey, Duarte. Thanks for coming, man.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited, man.
No, me too, bro. Oh, what's I gonna tell you? So, this is the premises of the podcast, or whatever you want to call it, that I have going on. I want to show people, or introduce people to successful people, and show that it's not overnight. That there's a lot of work put into it. That a lot of times, the way you grow up, the jobs you had before, are what makes you who you are, and helps you out in businesses, and puts you at that point where you're at in your life. And I know you always tell me this, bro, but to me, you're an interesting guy. I think you put a lot of hard work into stuff. So I want you to share your story and tell us about you, about Duarte.
Awesome, man. Thank you, bro. Again, thanks for the invitation. We obviously spent a lot of time next to each other, sharing an office wall. So thank you. I love the idea of the videos and the podcast that you're doing, man. I think it's awesome. I think it shows that you're taking business to the next level, dude. So thank you for the invitation. Really, really honored to be here.
I don't know. So let's start with, where were you born? Or where were you from?
All right, man.
From the beginning.
Very beginning. All right, dude. So yeah, I was born in Chicago. Grew up in Cicero. So my parents are from Mexico. My dad's from Michoacan. My mom's from Guanajuato.
Okay.
But yeah, I was born in Chicago, and I've been living in Cicero my whole life, man. So I'm 29 years old, and I'm a Cicero boy.
You're Ciceronian?
Yes, sir. Ciceronian, dude. Proud of it.
Nice. So, what was your first job in general?
So my first job was I worked at a grocery store. So there was a grocery store on Roosevelt and like 59th Avenue. I think it was called Jimenez or something like that.
Oh, was it Jimenez?
I think it was a Jimenez. It was yeah, I mean, it was like the local grocery store. So I worked there when I was a sophomore in high school. I was like 16. Yeah, man, I was a bag boy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would go after school and go bag groceries and stock, the shelves and clean. So, I mean, it was like very basic things. I did that for a couple months.
How did you get that job?
So it was actually my mom.
Yeah.
My mom was the connection, dude. She was the hookup. So she knew somebody that was working there already. And at the time, I don't know, man, I guess she just thought I should get a job. So she hooked me up with that job, dude. And again, it was something I did for a couple months as like a 16-year-old.
Did she tell you, I got you a job, or did she say, ¿quieres trabajar?
She said, ¿quieres trabajar? She didn't force me to do anything, dude. So, yeah, she asked me if I wanted to take on the job, so I did. And, yeah, I did that for a couple months. They ended up, like, laying off a bunch of people, and they closed, like, a few months afterwards. So I don't even think it's there anymore. It's like a laundromat now or something like that. Yeah.
How old were you when you started there?
So I was 16.
16,
yes, sir.
And then after that?
After that, other jobs that I've had. So I've had jobs as a lifeguard. So I was a lifeguard for a few summers. That's kind of what I did. I did that till I was like maybe like a freshman in college or something like that. So I did like 3 or 4 summers.
In the Cicero pools or in the city?
Cicero pools.
Cicero pools?
Yes, sir. Park.
How many lives you saved?
Dude, actually, I think people don't realize that there's a lot of clumsy kids out there.
Yeah, that's what I asked.
And even me, like when I first started, I figured like it's just gonna be like, we're just gonna, it's a lifeguard job, we're just gonna hang out and
right. Get a tan.
Get a tan, exactly, dude. But you know what? Like we took our jobs really seriously because at the pool where we worked, Park Home Pool, yeah, I mean, there's some parents that literally just leave their kids there.
Yeah.
Like young kids, like 7, 8, 9 years old, leave them there. They'll be there like the whole day. And, I mean, it's at least at the time, it was a pretty pretty popular pool. So there would be a lot of kids that would go to the pool. And most people think that it's like, yeah, like I said, man, we're just going to have fun. But like when we were up there, like I can't count how many kids I had to jump in for, dude. Like that's how many kids we jumped in for. I would say at least once or twice a week. There was some kid that was like borderline drowning, where we had to jump in and like bring them out. We never did like at least I never did like CPR or anything like that. But jumping into the pool to grab kids, yeah, that was a pretty common thing. Yeah, for sure.
Nice. Is that something you fell into, or you wanted to do, or?
Dude, I don't even know how I got into it, man. I think, well, you know what? Actually, I was in the swim team in high school.
Oh, okay.
So I was already in the pool a lot of the time. A lot of my friends were in the swim team as well. So it was kind of a thing. Like if you were in the swim team, then getting your lifeguard, certification was kind of the thing. So
yeah.
Most of the swim team and the water polo team, which I was in as well, like we were mostly lifeguards, either in the Cicero pools or the Berwyn pools.
Nice.
Yeah, it was fun, man. It was a lot of fun, dude.
It sounds like fun. Mm-hmm. After the lifeguard, what other job did you have?
So other jobs. So like during college, I worked as a fragrance salesperson. Yeah.
At the mall?
At the mall, dude. Yes, sir. At the mall. I worked at different malls. So I started off at North Riverside Mall, in North Riverside. So it was. I actually got a lot of skills. Like my real estate skills come from that, dude. Like that was a true salesy job. There's people that walk into the mall, literally just walking through, and my job was to essentially hook them. They're walking by, and I give them a little piece of paper with some fragrance.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you want to smell this? And if they like it, then I bring them over to my counter, and essentially my job is to close the deal right then and there. Yeah. So man, that was actually really interesting. It was actually a lot of fun too, man, because I got to interact with people every single day.
Right.
I got used to people just kind of saying no, or just passing by me and acting like I wasn't there. When that someone's looking at you, which was me looking at them, people would just not even stare at you. So I got used to people just walking by, and I got used to the idea of rejection, I guess. But it didn't matter, man. It was a fun job as well. I loved interacting with people. I just love that job too, man. It was a lot of fun too. But yeah, my job was essentially, I give a piece of paper with the fragrance, and then I just essentially sell the fragrance.
Do you think you learned how to read people better with that job?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure, man. And I always say this, so I don't really think real estate is like sales, dude. I don't think it's like a sales job per se. It's not necessarily hey, I'm trying to, close this house, or I'm trying to push this house down your throat. I really think it's more so, providing clients with the right information, providing them with value, and I let them make the decision. But I think I was able to understand how people react and how people work a lot better there.
Right.
My job, I've always been kind of more, I let the client speak. So I'm more so a listener. And even at that job, right? I would give them that piece of paper, but they'd ask me questions hey, I'm trying to smell like this, or I'm looking for this kind of I'm trying to go out tonight and I'm trying to impress a girl or whatever it may be, right?
Right.
So I would let them talk to me, and based on the information that they would give me, I'd be all right, this is what, this is what you're looking for.
Nice.
And it's funny. So I use those same skills in this job now. A lot of stuff is just listening to somebody, and then absorbing that information, and then being able to provide the right house, I guess, at this point for the
right.
Client. Yeah.
What's your recommendation for cologne for everybody, for all the guys? Everybody always. I'm really bad at picking up cologne and stuff.
Yeah.
So I joined a membership, a monthly membership, and they send me stuff, and I just spray it on. But I'm terrible at picking.
I would say, man, there's so many, dude. There's hundreds of fragrances now, right? It just depends on what you like, man. So a lot of the younger guys, they like the fresh, they like the fresh citrusy stuff. So you can't go wrong if you want just something that's gonna be decent to smell. You can't go wrong with Dolce & Gabbana light blue.
Right.
It was super popular when I was working there. It's just a light, nice scent. I like stronger scents. I think if you're an older gentleman, if you're someone who's businessman, the stronger scents, more woodsy, more of a cedar notes, those are better for an older person.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch. I like a lot of the Givenchy colognes. I think those are awesome. My guy Alex Sanchez, if he's listening, he sells them. So if you guys are looking for that Givenchy,
what vol is he at?
What's up?
What vol is he at?
He's a regional in California now. So it's funny because we started off like at North Riverside together, and now he like moved up the ranks and like they sent him over to like California. But I mean, if you guys want the cologne, just shoot me a message. We'll get you guys the hookup.
Done.
But yeah, dude. So yeah.
That's cool. So after that, where did you work?
So after that, so I did all these things like while I was in school, right? Like lifeguarding. I was in high school, college. I did the fragrance stuff while I was in college, and my first job outside of college was I worked at an insurance company. So I did like corporate finance for an insurance company.
Oh, nice.
It was super boring, man. It was actually like really, really boring, dude. I did that for 2 years. So I studied finance in college, and at the time it was actually like something I'm very proud of. Because it was, I finished school and I was getting like a corporate job, and coming from, my upbringing and I think a lot of the challenges that we face, in my kind of upbringing and in my sphere. Yeah. It was something I was super, super proud of, man. I was downtown. I had a cubicle like with nice views to like.
You made it, right?
That's like making it, dude. That was like making it, man.
Sure.
And it was something that my family was very proud of. But at the end of the day, dude, like I did that. It was what I went to school for. It's what I went to college for 4 years and worked very hard for. But at the end of the day, like when I was there, it wasn't for me. I realized like it was the same routine over and over and over. And for a lot of people, that makes sense, right? Like I think certain people are wired to have that. You have a 9 to 5, and then from 5 to whatever time you go to sleep, it's like you do something else. But at the time, I was just like I wanted to do more. And I remember like going to the office and I would do my work, but then I'd be like, okay, what else is next? Like, what else can I do? Like, can I grow here? And the thing about like corporate America is that, man, dude, there's like 100 levels, right? To like move up, like there's so many levels, and it's a place where you have to know the right people. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity. Like I said, most people, that's great. That's amazing. You have a great job, great salary. But I think for me, I just like wanted to do something where I was more in control. I wanted to use like my own skills, like critical thinking skills. I wanted to, I guess I was like really, really thinking really big at the time. So I knew that wasn't where I was going to be for the next 10, 15, 20 years. So I did that for 2 years. And then after that, just to share some more of the jobs that I've had. After that, during that time when I was doing that, actually, my older brother, Lewis, he worked for Tana Cicero, and he was like doing like community outreach, like just a bunch of events. He did like, there was a lot of events for like the youth, events for like job fairs, it was just like community events. My younger brother, Memo, was like really involved with the church. And he would do like community events, and he was doing like a lot of things that were just like really, really amazing. And then I was like, in corporate finance, just like writing reports and like looking at numbers. And honestly, it was so basic. It wasn't even like anything that was like challenging in any way. Right. So I just remember seeing myself, and I would go home and I would see Memo, and he'd be doing like some like awesome project, like coordinating like a half marathon or something like that for the church. And Lewis was working on these projects, and I'm like, man, like, I don't want to do this. Like, what's next? It just so happened that there was an opportunity to work at the high school in Cicero and Berwyn, so Morton High School District. And I applied for it, and I was like, all right, this is going to be like completely different. This is not corporate finance. I didn't go to school for this. Like everything that I had worked for my entire life, essentially, like I'm just going to like toss that to the side, and I'm going to do something completely different. And so I took that position at the high school. So what that job was essentially, it was like communications and marketing. So it was a new position. They needed somebody young to essentially like take over like social media, do like the marketing for the school district, and then just put out like a positive message about the school district overall. So, dude, I loved that job. That job
sounds like a cool job.
Dude, it was amazing. So I was 24 at the time.
Oh, wow.
I was 24 at the time. When I took that job, there was a new principal at Morton East, one of the high schools, and then another new principal at Moore West, and they're both relatively young, like in their 30s at the time, and I was a 24-year-old. So the people that we were working with, there was like a lot of new administrators. There was a lot of positive energy. So I came in like at the perfect time to just like, one, capitalize on social media, because at the time, even 3 or 4 years ago, like, believe it or not, people hadn't implemented like social media at like the levels that they're at now in many organizations.
Right.
And the school district was one of them. So it was just like a really fun time to essentially go out there. They said like, all right, well, so like you're a young guy, like figure it out, like figure out ways to like essentially get the positive message out there. Like, how do we share all these great things that are occurring at the school district with the community and with like our kids and so on. So yeah, dude, it was amazing, dude. Like, I essentially would go out to the schools. I would like document like with social media, like the events that were occurring, whether it was like a sports event or whether it was like a student success story, whether it was a teacher getting recognized for like doing something amazing. Like, my job was essentially to capture all that information and like put it out there, whether it was social media or a newsletter or like a print material. Like, my job was essentially to like get it out there, dude. So I love that job. It was a great time.
It sounds like an awesome job.
It really was.
Do you think growing up in the community, you understood the kids more and what people wanted to see on social media?
Oh, for sure, man. Yeah. For sure, dude. Like, yeah, I think that was like, if I wasn't from like where I grew up, like definitely the role that I played would have been, I guess, less impactful.
Right.
But yeah, I knew what the kids wanted to see. Like, I knew that they wanted to watch their friends, do cool things like this, sports assemblies or whatever it was, and I knew I know what the community was lacking too, like as far as like the positive stories that weren't getting out there before.
Right.
So we did some really cool pieces, man. Like, there's some really successful kids at the school district, dude. And before, like, you wouldn't know that this stuff was happening, but there's kids that are going like Harvard to Yale to Princeton. Oh, wow. Like, yeah, they're doing really amazing things. So like, as soon as we found out about these kids, it was like, all right, how do we interview these kids? Like, let's get to know their story. What are they about? And then we would do our best to, get it out there one way or another. And we had a great team, dude. Like, the school district had a great team of people that was like really supportive of like the mission.
Did you go to high school there?
Yeah, so I went to,
so you understood even better.
Dude, I knew half the teachers already. They were like, what are you doing here, man? Like, yeah, dude, so I knew a lot of the teachers already, which is fun.
Do you think that's really important, especially like you say, I don't like to get political with stuff.
Sure.
But do you think that's something that lacks in a lot of our communities where we grew up as minorities? Emphasizing on the good stories and not the bad stories of all this bad stuff about the neighborhoods?
I think anywhere, man. I think, unfortunately, for whatever reason, maybe the media or maybe human nature, like, we just focus on negative stories. I mean, there's so many positive things, not just here, like anywhere really. Like, there's success stories anywhere and everywhere. And I think that's something that we see in more places than we should. The fact that negative stories are highlighted over positive stories. But I mean, there's great stories definitely at the school district where I worked.
Right.
There's a lot of positive things occurring, and I think it's the job of the community to help out and share those positive messages with the rest of the community.
Did you guys see a shift after you started all that stuff?
I think, and again, I'm not going to take credit for doing all the work. I was in a position where I was like filtering a lot of the information and pushing it out. But I think as a whole, I don't know if it's, man, maybe I'm being biased because I worked there, but I do think that there was like a lot of positive things going out, dude. Right. At least for the 2 or 3 years that I was there. And even after, like, now I'm on their social media and they're like pushing out like these great, stories. So I think, and it might not just be at the school district where I worked. I mean, the fact that people are now understanding social media a lot better. They're understanding like what are the different methods to get positive stories or get their story out works. I think that's making it a lot easier for school districts to, essentially push positive stories out.
I think so. I think another thing the shift is, when I was growing up, there was nobody like me in the school district working there. And now...
What school district?
I went to Argo.
Argo, in Summit, right?
In Summit.
Okay.
Yeah, but my mom was like the first generation Latinos. So after them, I still had some of the same teachers that she had. Mm-hmm. So I don't think they understood us as much. But now I see with this younger crowd, they have a bunch of people that, that are like us, understand us, and are maybe more prone to help us grow a little bit better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think organically, even at the school district too. Like when I came back, yeah, there was a lot of younger teachers. I think naturally you're gonna, the older teachers or the older administrators, they start retiring or whatever happens, or maybe they move to another school district. But yeah, I mean, and it's not just that at the school district where I worked, but I mean, when I would go to other schools, or just the experiences that I've had from seeing like other school districts. Yeah, you're right. Growing up Latino, maybe 10, 15 years ago, you didn't have connections with maybe your teachers like you do now, or maybe you didn't have those, those mentors that you could connect to. But now, I mean, I think just naturally we have younger people that are taking up great roles at, whether it's a school district or somewhere else in the community. And because of that, it's making it a lot easier for younger generations to maybe feel inspired or feel motivated or whatever it may be.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I agree with that. Because, yeah, it is. You're never going to understand the people you're trying to help if you don't understand where they're coming from. You know what I mean? That's how I see it. Like, even like in business, when people come to me with their insurance problems or their insurance questions, I try to help them by seeing what their needs are and understanding where they're coming from. I have a lot of times where I have other people's clients come to me and they're like, well, I want new insurance because I don't because my insurance person didn't explain it, or it tells me this and this and this. And it's not that it's a worse product or a better product than what they have. What it is a lot of times is they just don't know how to explain it to the person, because you have older Latinos, they don't speak Spanish. You have these younger guys that don't speak Spanish as well, and they just don't communicate well. So these older guys get frustrated and they're like, no, like I don't want it. You told me this and that, and I think that benefits us as a lot in business, especially in the communities we work with, just because that we understand where they're coming from.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I agree with you 100%, definitely.
Ooh, so after that, how many years did you work at the school for?
So I worked there like 2.5 years, and then after that, that's when I started here, man. So that's when so that was great, man. I loved that job. I loved the things that were occurring at the school district at the time, and I'm sure great things are still happening. But I think I was just looking for, again, kind of like when I was working at the insurance company, I felt like I wanted to do bigger, better things.
Right.
I did that, and then I still wanted to do bigger, better things. Maybe I'm like really ambitious.
Yeah.
Maybe I think that would be. I think that's what was happening at the time. I was like, all right, what else can I do? I actually ended up meeting Eddie, the owner of Realty of Chicago, the company I work for.
Right.
When I was at the school district, we became good friends. I was seeing what he was doing. Relatively young guy, I think maybe 6-7 years older than me, and I was just like, man, this is pretty cool. He's using critical skills. He's thinking outside the box. He's like, he can work as little or as much as he wants. I think that was the issue with me, in some of my previous jobs, where it was like, okay, now it's 5 or 6 p.m.
Right. I
don't want to just like sit back at home and watch TV. Like I want to keep doing things.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, in this career of real estate, I can do that. I can work 24/7. If I want to work 24/7, I can, essentially have no cap. And that's what I was looking for. So yeah, man, that's how I like kind of essentially came into the real estate world, and I've been doing that for almost 3 years now.
So out of all the jobs you've had, you think the perfume job was the one that's helped you out the most in your career right now, or what?
Dude, I picked up skills from like everything, dude, and that's like anyone that's had multiple jobs, different skills that you have to use. Like you're gonna absorb the best skills from each job. I would say that was good for like interacting with people,
right?
Like maybe reading them, knowing how to react, timing, right, in a conversation. Like that was super important. And again, I'm gonna go back to this. Like that was sales. That was definitely sales. I think what I do now is I listen to people. I get to know what their goals are, and then I just kind of like match them up with the right plan.
Do you think the lifeguard job helped you in pressure situations? Do you think it maybe helped you a little bit without realizing it?
Maybe, man. I never thought about that, but yeah, maybe, dude.
Like
maybe, dude.
When it starts getting rough, you're like, all right, just focus.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I don't want to make it seem like we're like jumping in for kids and like literally doing CPR and like like some Baywatch stuff, but maybe, dude. And it's true. Like we had a couple times where there's lifeguards that froze.
Yeah.
Like they froze. Like they saw kids like literally in the middle of the pool needed help, and they would freeze, and then like another lifeguard had to jump in and get the kid because like the one that was responsible and closest might have like not been aware or maybe they got scared.
Yeah.
It's happened multiple times, dude. So yeah, maybe I do think that maybe it did. Yeah, in one way or another, it helped me.
What about the grocery bag? Like I'm serious. Like, did that humble you a little bit? Like, do you think back? Like, man, like I started packing groceries. Do you when you go to Jewel or you see the grocery kids, you're like, man, like
hard work. Yeah, I think so. You know what? It was more. I compare myself to this other kid that was like, around the same age as me. Mm-hmm. He was like, he was an immigrant kid. I don't even think he went to school. So he was there like all the time. He was about the same age as me. And that was a humbling experience because when I came in, I was like, all right, it's break time. I'm going to go eat some chips, like sit over here and like, have a soda. But then I was watching this other kid who depended on this work.
Right.
Whereas I was like, all right, there's just some extra money, some extra, cash for whatever, buying like chips or lunch or whatever. It was like, It wasn't that important for me to have that job or not have it. But when I was working there, this other kid was like a super hard worker, man. Like he really showed me off. Like he did a great job at essentially like, he would be there and like super thorough with the work. So I think that was maybe if there's an experience I could take from it, it was like watching this kid and then realizing like, oh shit, like I should, like look at the work ethic of this person. Like this is the work ethic that I should also be pushing. So I think that was maybe an experience, like seeing how hard someone's willing to work for grocery jobs.
Yeah, it's a good lesson.
Yeah.
So do you travel a lot, or I know you had taken a vacation. Do you travel a lot? Have you traveled?
I've traveled somewhat. Yeah. I wish I could travel more. I wish I would have done more traveling, or I wish I could do more traveling, and I will be doing some more traveling. But yeah, we went to me and my wife went to Chile in January in December.
Right.
So she's from Chile, dude. Okay. Beautiful country, man.
Really?
It's beautiful, dude. It's kind of one of those countries where people don't really like travel to. I think people go to Argentina or they'll go to like.
I ain't gonna lie to you. I thought you were in Argentina the whole time. I think that was everybody's like, yeah, he's in Argentina. I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah,
so it was Chile.
It's Chile, dude. So for whatever reason, Chile is kind of over. At least in my experience, is not one of the countries that people usually go to, like you said, Argentina or Peru or one of these other countries in South America. But yeah, Chile is beautiful, dude. It's it's a beautiful country. We were in Santiago, which is like the capital of Chile. It's modern. It's really clean. It's just a beautiful, beautiful country. We were in Santiago. We were in a couple beaches. We were in, I think it's called Quisco, Valparaiso. So we stayed at a couple like beach towns a few days.
Right.
Dude, it's gorgeous, man.
Yeah.
Like gorgeous. Yeah, it's beautiful. Great weather. So over there, it's the summer when it's winter over here.
Yeah, it's opposite, right? Because it's on the other side of the equator.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, dude. I mean, we went like in the middle of the winter, and it was just great weather.
Yeah.
Again, man, people are like super friendly. It's I definitely recommend it. Like if people are considering going to like Latin America, for sure.
Check out Chile.
Yeah, check out Chile. Yeah.
Sounds different.
Yeah.
What was the best food you ate there, or what was the best dish?
They're big on seafood.
Are they?
Yeah. So like,
see, I had no idea.
It's So I mean, they have a lot of great dishes, but Chile's like if you look at the actual map, Chile's like a country that's literally on the Pacific Ocean. Mm-hmm. So it's like a long sliver down South America. So we were, again, like I said, we were in a couple beach towns, and probably the best meals were like little like street vendors like next to the beaches. Like there's fresh fish, fresh oysters, fresh like just like literally fresh food that they had probably picked from like the ocean that same morning that we were eating.
For sure.
And it was delicious, dude. It was amazing food.
It sounds awesome.
Yep.
So, bro, we're almost out of time. Well, we're not almost out of time, but I know we gotta get to work. Thanks for stopping by, bro. All right. So my final question, or maybe my final question, what would Duarte today tell young Duarte? What would Duarte today tell Duarte when he was when he had his first job? What would be his advice to him?
The Duarte from today, what would I tell myself back then?
Yeah.
Damn, dude, that's a good question. I would say stay positive. I mean, I think I've been pretty positive, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of challenges, man. There's so many challenges that come up with life in general, man, and you just got to stay positive, like you can't, and I think I'm seeing this a lot lately, especially in our generation. Like a lot of people aren't where they expected to be. A lot of people, especially working with my clients and knowing their finances, like a lot of people aren't necessarily where they might have expected themselves to be, like right out of high school and stuff. But like, I think a pretty good message overall, including myself. When I was younger, it's just like stay positive, keep working hard, stay consistent.
Right.
Things will be okay.
So I want to share a story. I know I told you the other day about it. Tell us the story about when you were with Eddie in the car one time and you had just started real estate.
Oh, yeah, we were just talking about this. So, yeah, dude, the first few months of real estate were tough, man. They were super rough. I came in here, thinking that, all right, man, week 1, I'm going to start making money. Week 2, gonna freaking, by week 3, week 4, I was going to just have a lot of money.
Right.
And I think that's something that we see like on social media a lot, especially if you have like, real estate friends, like, okay, right. Like, hey, closing, that guy must have made a lot of money, etc.
Yeah.
So,
living the dream.
Yeah, living the dream, man. It's a lot of work, dude. It is a lot of work. So I started off, I did this full time, like from very day one. So from my first day, I was a full timer. I didn't have another job. I didn't have another like source of income. Like this is what I was going to rely on. And, I've worked at least for the first few months, probably even till now, like literally I didn't take days off.
Right.
Like, especially the first few months, it was like every single day, start early, leave late for multiple weeks, multiple months. However, it was like really rough. So I was like getting clients, but like I wasn't closing any transactions. And it was getting to a point where I was like, okay, like something's wrong. Like I would see other real estate brokers start at the office, and within a month or a couple of weeks, they had contracts, they had clients that they were closing on. And although I was like getting some clients, like I just wasn't closing any transactions. And I had like multiple bad experiences where we had clients that were about to close and either something happened with their finances or the seller pulled out or the contract just like would fall apart.
Right.
So I think it was like 3 or 4 months in. And at that point I was just like, man, like, I don't know if this is for me. Like I was literally thinking to myself, like, I'm not making any money. Like, yes, I love what I'm doing and I'm guiding people and it's it's a great job in the sense of like just the experiences with other people.
Right.
But I wasn't closing any deals and I wasn't making any money. So I got desperate to a point where I was riding in the car with Eddie, and I think this is what we were talking about.
Yeah,
so, so we were riding in a car and it was already 4 months in. It was like January, it's cold, it's winter. And I was like, man, Eddie, like, dude, I think I'm going to like give it 1 more month. And then if like I can't close a transaction or if things don't like look up after that month, like I'm going to have to like start looking for another job because this is not sustainable. So then, man, God works in mysterious ways. I don't know why, dude, but like.
What did he tell you when you told him that though?
What did he tell me?
Yeah.
I mean, he told me to stick it through, dude. I mean, he was just like, just stick it through, man. Like, things are going to look like, keep doing what you're doing. And eventually, like, it's going to get better. Is there something else I told you that he told me? But yeah, so then February hits. So I started in September, dude. I literally went 5 months. So like the winter season's horrible. I went 5 months. I wish somebody would have told me that Chicago, real estate is cyclical.
Yeah.
So like the winter is like literally the slow months, and then spring, summer, and like fall, it's like super hot and active. But then February hits, and then literally from February until now, it's been like, just consistent business. Like, it's been pretty good. So dude, yeah, I was literally about to quit real estate. I was about to just say like, all right, screw this. I'm going to go back and like look for another job and like do something else. But literally on the 5th month, God works in mysterious ways. I got blessed, and yeah, dude, and it's been good so far.
You put in the work, bro. I think that's another big thing. Like people don't understand, because that's one thing that I get it all the time. Like, you have to be making money right away. If you're not making money, then it's not a good business, or it's not this, or it's not that. Mm-hmm. But you just have to put the work in, and not everything is overnight. You know what I mean? And you just have to keep.
Yeah, and that's actually something I tell like all the newer real estate brokers that come into the office. It's like, hey, you got to be consistent, especially the first few months. Like, this is not easy. Like the first months, I literally did a lot of grunt work, man. Like it was like I did all the things a newer real estate broker should be doing, like knocking on doors, calling expired listings, calling for sale by owners, bugging friends and family, letting them know that I'm a real estate agent, posting on social media, like, dude, everything.
Right.
Home buyer seminars, like dude, there was a lot of pressure the first few months. Like, it was really scary not to have a paycheck. I think that's the scariest thing, dude. Not having a paycheck is really scary.
Yes.
And I give props to any entrepreneur or anybody that does entrepreneurial work or has like an independent business, because it's man, there's way more pressure than having a job where you get paid every week or every other week.
Right.
There's a lot of pressure, dude. But yeah, I tell a lot of newer realtors, like, put in the work, be consistent, and eventually things are gonna like look better, right? Like, all that work you put in, all that energy that you put into whatever business it may be, whether it's real estate or something else, like, so long as you do good work, so long as you're honest, so long as you work with integrity, transparency, like all those good values, like, eventually those same clients or the same people you spoke to in the beginning are either gonna refer you business or gonna come back to you, or they're gonna work with you at some point. So that's what happened, dude. I spent 5 months of hardcore prospecting, working my butt off, and then eventually, month 5, things looked up.
Yeah,
good.
All those clients that you not clients, but all those referrals and all that stuff that you did in the 5 months, did you see any returns from that? Like, people from those 5 months?
Oh, for sure, man. For sure, dude. So that's what I mean, dude. Like, that was the thing. I didn't realize that in the winter, like December, people aren't focused on like buying homes or even selling homes. They're focused on the holidays. Same thing in January. It's the winter. It's like when people don't want to go out and look at homes when it's super cold outside.
Right.
It gets dark at 5 or 6 p.m. So it's kind of like, it's just not something that people want to do. But a lot of those people that I spoke to in the very beginning, whether it was like literally somebody who messaged me on Facebook, or whether it was somebody who I called from like a for sale by owner sign, or whatever it may have been,
right.
A lot of those people reached out to me at some point. Like, once it got a little bit nicer, once it was springtime, I got a lot of phone calls back. And I think people will see like how hard you're willing to work too. Like, I was calling people and following up and doing all that stuff. And I think most people are good people, you know, like they want to help you out. Right. So a lot of the people that saw that work ethic or that effort that I was putting out, like in one way or another, whether they worked with me or maybe referred me to somebody, tried to help me out at some point down the line.
That's awesome. So you have any mentors that you go to with problems, or do you just try to solve them yourself, or is there someone that, or is you just have a bunch of different ones that you just take everything?
In real estate or in general? In life?
Yeah, life.
Dude. So in real estate, I do. You know, there's people in the office. There's, you know, Eddie, the owner, David Dominguez, the managing broker at one of our offices in Pilsen. Absolutely. And then in life, yeah, man, I'm really close to my brothers. I mean, I think you know this. Like, we're really tight. And I've always, you know, whenever I have like a question about like that I need guidance for or any of that stuff, I usually go to my brothers, whether it's Lewis, Mamo, or Angel.
Nice.
Yeah.
Bro, I appreciate you for coming.
Thanks for having me, man.
Sitting down, dude. We got to do this again.
I was a little nervous, to be honest with you, dude.
I know, bro.
You drank that whole tequila. I can see.
Dude, I was going to serve more, but I'm waiting for the tequila sponsors to start donating bottles so we can show it off here. I don't want to give them free advertisement yet.
Yeah, no, but thank you, man. I appreciate the invitation. This is definitely something that's pretty cool.
Cool. See, bro, and you were like, man, I don't know what I'm going to say. Yeah. Bro.
Thank you, man. Salud.